It was early morning when the group met tour guide Alok Tiwari and was transferred to the Mumbai domestic airport to board a flight to Nagpur. Upon arrival at the Nagpur airport, we were transferred to the Pride Hotel where we had 2 hours to freshen up before driving on to the Gandhi Sevagram Ashram for a day visit.
By somebody and a few rolls of film, black and white film. So he became an avid photographer. And when he came to Sevagram, he decided that he must have a photograph of his grandfather. And Bapu used to sell his autograph and photograph. So if you wanted his autograph, you paid $2 or 2.5 rupees at that time. I don't remember exactly. And if you wanted a photograph, it was 4 or 5 rupees. So when Arun told his grandfather that I want you to pose for a photograph, he said, yes, you can take a photograph, but you got to pay me. Arun said, be crazy, I'm your grandson. I have a right to take your photograph. He said, no, nothing doing. The rule is a rule. Those were the times when the final negotiations for transfer of power were taking place. And so all the leadership of the Congress would descend on this house and they would have all their deliberations in the office room. And it would spill over onto the veranda on that side. And one afternoon when all the big shots were very busy conferring with Bapu, Arun thought that was an opportune moment. So he hid behind the window and he snapped the photograph of Bapu. And he thought he got away with it. Now, every evening when they held their prayers over here, outsiders would be allowed to attend the prayers. So a large crowd would gather and many of them would want autographs and photographs. So the children would be assigned the duty of going around and finding out how many people wanted autographs and how many people wanted photographs. And they were supposed to collect the fees for it and make an account and then deposit the collection with Bapu after the prayer. So that day, Bapu told Arun that he had to collect all the monies and requests. And after everything was over, my father went to him with the account. And after looking at the account, Bapu said, Arun, you are cheating. My father said, no, I'm not cheating. This is the number of photographs. There's the fees. You can tally them. They are all tallied. So he says, no, but there was one more photograph and you haven't accounted for that. So after, vehemently denying it for some time, my father realized that grandfather knows about the sneak photograph that I took. So he admitted, he said, yes, I took a photograph, but I'm not paying you. Bapu said, no, you got to pay me. You took my photograph, you got to pay me. Father said, I don't have the money. In those days, parents didn't give their children money and 5 rupees was a princely amount. So I said, I don't have the money. Father said, in that case, your camera will be confiscated and unless you pay me, you will not get it back. So when my grandparents arrived later on and they went to take Bapu's blessings, Bapu told my grandfather, he said, go and deposit the 5 rupees for the photograph that Arun took and he doesn't have the money to pay for. Then I'll bless you. So grandfather went and paid the money into the fund and then Bapu called Arun and handed over the camera. And Arun was pretty annoyed that, his grandfather couldn't even give him one photograph as a gift. And so then Bapu made him sit down and he said, look Arun, I have made the rule. You're very dear to me, my grandson, I love you. But I can't break the rule that I made just because you're my grandson. Because if I break the rule for you, then I don't have the authority to enforce it on anybody else. And that's a story my father tells people all around. Of course, the pencil story also happened over here. And the anger and electricity story also happened. 33.
So when was your dad here? Right around.
My dad would have been here in the early 40s. So Arun would have been sitting somewhere over here eating his very tasteless meal that they cooked over here.
Squash?
He must have talked to you about the squash story.
I don't know if they, yeah, he does.
No, I'll tell the story later on while we are sitting. But this is where, even now, the people who live in the ashrams, they gather over here for their meals.
We undertook the education, village sanitation, health, all these aspects were taken. Okay, basic education here in 1937. But Gandhi was experimenting on these aspects from the very beginning, even from the South African days.
Right.
Starting from the Phoenix settlement, then Tolstoy farm, and coming back here. It is a lifelong process, especially in Gujarat, the founding of the Vidyapith.
Organic farming and animal husbandry before. Fifth is hand-spun, hand-woven cloth. Sixth is practical education. Seventh is prohibition, no abstaining from alcohol. Eight is village self-rule. 9 is satyagraha. I hope all of you understand satyagraha. Fight for rights. 10th is the peace army, Shanti Sena. And 11 is respect for all religions.
Late in the afternoon, we were transferred back to the Nagpur airport, boarded a flight back to Mumbai and were transferred back to the Orchid Hotel for another overnight stay.
Look on your right. That's the Mumbai University.
This is the telegraph office on the left. We are very close to what is where the High Court of Bombay is situated. And this is the colonial Mumbai. Buildings came up mainly in the 19th century while we were a colony of the British. On your left is Flora Fountain.
Assigned local train which will go to the destination where they will be offloaded. So it's a very efficient system. Now you see the very poor hutment colonies and the affluent towers that are replacing them. Some of these towers are also built by the government where they have shifted
the urban colonies from the city areas. So instead of the horizontal spread hutments, you see vertical hutments. You see that tower over there with clothes hanging all over the shore? That is called the slum rehabilitation tower. So the builders are told to build tiny cubicles for the slum dwellers, and in return for that they get commercially exploitable building real estate space, which they can sell and recover their cost and make the profits. But what they very cleverly end up doing is that they gentrify the locality around the slum tower, and very soon those who have been rehabilitated from the slums find it impossible to live in that locality because the standard of cost of living starts rising in those localities. And so after about 5 or 6 years, they will either sell off the slum rehabilitation apartment they have got or rent it out to people who are migrating to the city, and they will move out into the extended suburbs and establish new slum colonies. So this is how the slum rehabilitation scheme by the government has now been turned into a real estate grab to benefit the building lobby, the building mafia, which is very, very strong in metros like Mumbai all over India. And so, these vertical slums will also one day not be housing the beneficiaries who had been relocated from their slums. All these are also a bit better off slums, but they're as haphazard without facilities, because what happens is even those people who build, the slums start as absolute shanty towns, then they graduate to become tin shelters, then they become brick shelters, then they start piling up floors one on top of the other, which are very unstable and unsafe. But according to regulations, they are not allowed to have toilets inside or sanitation facilities in their homes. So there is no running water connection. So they are at the mercy of the slum lord, who will sell them a water connection for an indecent amount of money every month, and the government will build public toilets for them, which they have to use. So even the ones you see, like the brick stories there, they have no amenities, no facilities.
You can see it, it's not very clear today. It's called the sea link. We'll be taking that bridge. It saves about 45 minutes of travel time, and it takes you straight into downtown. It's beautiful.
This is really gotten better. Yeah, not only for us, but it's a lot of here.
Like I'm gonna move her. Be careful to drop your phone, okay? Because I know you have a habit of dropping your phone.
In the morning, the group checked out, toured Mumbai, then headed to Mani Bhavan for a visit of the transitional home, library, and museum of Bapu. This location has significance for being the focal point of Gandhi's political activities from 1917 through 1934.
To Mani Bhavan, although the world over this is known as Gandhi's home, this was just a transit home for Bapu. Right from the 1920s, this belonged to a very prosperous jeweler of Mumbai who was a very close friend of Bapu. So whenever Bapu was passing through Mumbai, he would say here, because Mumbai was the international port. So going abroad would have to be from here. And two significant events that happened from here was that the first non-cooperation movement was launched from this house in 1920. And the final push for independence in 1942, the Quit India movement, was also launched from this house. There is a public meeting place just down the road, which was known as the Govalia Tank. The meeting was to be held over there. The Congress's convention was held over there where the Quit India resolution was adopted. The next day there was going to be a public meeting, but at midnight on that day, post-midnight on that day, the British government swooped down on this house and arrested the entire leadership. So in the morning, when everybody woke up to attend the public meeting, there was no leadership. The British thought that if they caught and incarcerated the leadership, the movement would fizzle out. But Bapu had prepared the Indians and had told them that freedom was their own responsibility, the individual responsibility of every Indian. And so they would have to fight for it individually. And so that is what happened, that the people, by and large, took it to heart and said, now we will fight, no matter if we have leaders or not, we will fight the British to the very end. And that is what finally made the British realize that their days in India were over. And that is where 5 years later, they handed over the power to Indians and that. So this is the significance of this house, Mani Bhavan. But for Americans and Westerners, there is another great significance of this house. In I think it was either 59 or 60, Dr. Martin Luther King was invited to India by the government of India, and he was declared the guest of the government of India, or honored guest of the government of India. And he was taken on a tour of all of India. And when he landed in Mumbai, he made a request that I want to go and visit Gandhi's home first before I do anything else. So he was, from the airport, he was brought here directly. And you know the room upstairs, the one with the glass partitions, that room has been kept the same way as it used to be in Bapu's time. Everything else has been remodeled and changed to become a museum and a library. But that room has been kept the way it used to be when Bapu lived in there. So Dr. King requested the director of this museum to open the door so that he could walk in and sit by the, there was a mattress kept where Bapu used to sit at work, and Dr. King said he wanted to meditate. And so they allowed him to go in, and he said he wanted to be left alone. He sat down on the floor next to that mattress, and everybody left him. And then the hours passed by. Dr. King didn't get up. So when it was time to close down the museum, the director went and whispered to Dr. King and said, "You must leave now because we have to close the museum." And Dr. King turned around to the person and said, I want to stay. I don't want to leave. Dr. King, the arrangements have been made for his entourage to stay at the Taj Mahal Hotel, which is the most luxurious hotel in Mumbai. And they booked the presidential suite for him and his wife. They said, but you don't go there and stay. He said, no, I want to stay in Gandhi's house. There was no facility over there for staying because it was a museum. So they pleaded with him. You can't keep it. He said, just give me a bedsheet and put it on this floor and I want to sleep over here. Finally, there was a small storeroom which they emptied out at the back of his house and converted it into a small bedroom. And for the 3 days that Dr. King stayed in Mumbai, he would go out every day to do his duties, the formal program. Every evening he would come back here and he would stay. He would go and sit in the room where Bapu used to work and then sleep over here. And when he left, he wrote in the guest book. He said, I have been in communion with Gandhi for the past 3 days and I felt his aura embrace me. And now I feel charged up to go back and work for the rights of my people in the US. There was an aftermath to that incident sometime in, I think, 2006 or 2007, I was invited to London as a part of the Black History celebration that they do a month-long celebration in August in London. The Mayor of London had invited me for that, and he had invited the assembled descendants of 5 or 6 of the famous historic icons to be there. And Dr. King's daughter was at that function. And when I narrated the story in my talk today, she came up to me and said, at that time I was a young girl and it was the most terrifying period of my life. I said, why, what happened? I said, when my father came back from India, we could see that he was a changed person. And he said, every time that the family sat down for dinner, my father would talk about Gandhi and his influence on him. And he said the most terrifying thing was that he would keep telling us that I also want to embrace poverty like Gandhi because I want to become a leader. And so we must give up all these creature comforts that we enjoy and live the life of an ascetic like Gandhi. She said, as children, we kept thinking that one fine day Dad was going to grab us by our hands and say, okay, we're leaving this house and going and living in the streets. So that terrified me. The thing is that even though he was so removed from Dr. King, they never physically met. Dr. King's knowledge of Gandhi was the read books that he had there. But this is the kind of connect that he had. And so Gandhi, although he never visited the US, has left an indelible impression on the American history, which even President Obama alluded to when he became the president. So this is the house, the culprit of what happened to America. So that I think was something that you should know about.
What year was that?
I think either 1959 or 60. One of those. I'm not exactly sure which year it was, but 59 or 60. And so this is it about Mani Bhavan.
The next stop was to visit the Women's India Trust, Panvel, an organization that started training less privileged and unskilled women in Mumbai to stitch sari petticoats. Today the Women's India Trust has grown to provide women educational opportunities, vocational skills training, and employment. This visit gave us the opportunity to see traditional crafting such as block printing and sharing a meal with some of the women.
With the red shade of the leaves. See, when they are printing, when they keep the screen on the table, it just cannot be kept anywhere. It has to fit into those hollows. There's a certain measurement, the hollows are there. It has to come onto the design where the color has to fall onto it. This is the expression has been completed. This is very bright a bit, no, after printing. The positive has to be made. They make it on the computers, computerized positives are made, and then the thing is given for making of the screen. And in screen printing, then you have, for like same in block also, you have, it's like a netted thing, like it's very delicate, the screen, it has pores in it. So they can be a single color. So the designs can be of one single color. There can be a design of two colors. So if it's two colors, then you have two screens. If it's three colors, you have three screens. If it's four, you have four screens. So it depends on every color in the design. So for example, now I'll show you. So they have done the outline first of the single color. Now they're doing the second color. It will look this way. So you have to click pictures if you want. Come serious, please. Hello. ते नाही केलं का तर सकाळी फोन करून विचारलं त्यांना किती मला माहिती तू करतेस धीरे धीरे
When our time at the Women's India Trust was over, we travelled on to Kolhapur, where the group arrived very late and checked into the Sayaji Hotel, Kolhapur. In the morning on day 4, the group travelled out to see various migrant worker camps, such as visiting a brickyard and sugarcane sites, or to learn about issues pertaining to child labour. In conjunction with this visit, we met representatives from AVANI, the anti-child labour program and residential school, to tour both makeshift tent schools as well as the residential school where dozens of children have been removed from work sites and or vulnerable positions and now not only attend governmental schools, but also are provided with food, accommodations, and health support through the organization. We also met with AVANI founder Anuradha Bhosle, a renowned grassroots women's rights and anti-child labor activist, a former child laborer herself. She has spent the past 20+ years fighting for the prevention of child exploitation, child labor, human trafficking, and female infanticide.
आपण इथे काय काय करतो पालकांचा सहभाग काय पालकांना पण बोलू द्यायचा तुषार भाई you can translate.
Yeah, I will do that. Taking towards working at the bricklane so they could supplement the family's income. The only thing they could do is over here, when you watch this bricklane operation, it is the earth mounds over there, the mixture is kneaded by hand. So what they do is, if it was in production, all the mix would be brought together in mounds like that, mixed with water, and one person would tramp in it to knead it into dough. Then it would be molded and sun dried like this. Once it was sun dried enough, it would be piled up into heaps like that, and a fire would be started in the belly of that heap, and the bricks would get roasted in that. So at every stage required to be transported.
So sometimes they have to warn cities like, hey, the guys are burning them.
आवडीने तुषार गळा काश पीतांबर आवडे निरंतर येचियाना तुषार गळा काश पीतांबर आवडे निरंतर येचियाना ज्ञानोबा माऊली तुकाराम 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 माऊली तुकाराम माऊली तुकाराम माऊली माऊली तुकाराम माऊली तुकाराम माऊली तुकाराम माऊली तुकाराम ज्ञानोबा माऊली तुकाराम ज्ञानोबा माऊली तुकाराम ज्ञानोबा माऊली तुकाराम ज्ञानोबा माऊली तुकाराम ज्ञानदेव सोपान मुक्ताबाई एकनाथ नामदेव तुकाराम ज्ञानदेव सोपान मुक्ताबाई एकनाथ नामदेव तुकाराम निवृत्ती ज्ञानदेव सोपान मुक्ताबाई एकनाथ नामदेव तुकाराम निवृत्ती ज्ञानदेव सोपान मुक्ताबाई एकनाथ नामदेव तुकाराम 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 ज्ञानोबा माऊली 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 हो ज्ञानोबा माऊली ज्ञानोबा माऊली हो
अरे असं कर घे इथं ठेवा सगळीजण टाळ ठेवा इथं
As far as you can this way. Okay, yeah. Maybe like this direction. Yeah. Okay.
आणि यानंतर आपल्या एक अप्रतिम नृत्याविष्कार सादर होतोय भारतीय शास्त्रीय नृत्यामधला
आणि सागर बगाडे यांच्यासाठी आपण टाळ्या वाजूया जोरात. त्यांनी खूप चांगल्या प्रकारे वेळोवेळी या ठिकाणी लक्ष घालून हे पूर्ण केलेलं आहे. आणि आता दोज हू वॉन्ट टू सी आय थिंक आय वुड से द गेस्ट नीड टू गो अँड सी अँड अंडरस्टँड देन लेटर ऑन इट्स ओपन फॉर पीपल. ओके.
Why this campus is being made? Here, Babu is shown leading a child. The child symbolizes the Avani children. The child symbolizes the Avani children and the rural agrarian society around. So this project is intended to benefit the children and the neighboring community of farmers. So this is that part of it. You see all the farm implements and farmers using those on the door over here. And here you see the children learning sustainable agriculture practices in this mural. So this is Anuradha's fertile imagination of what she intends to do over here. And if you ask Brian, where are you? If you ask Brian, he'll vouch for what this place was when he last came here and what it is, the difference that has been made today.
I don't think he was able to recognize the place when he saw it. He asked me, "What is this?" And I said, "Guess what?"
I recognize the field, but not all this.
ज्ञानोबा माऊली माऊली तुकाराम 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 ज्ञानोबा माऊली तुकाराम ज्ञानोबा माऊली तुकाराम
vegetables from one
हे सगळ्या याची पाहणी करताय आणि त्यांनी उद्घाटन केलेलं स्टॉलचं आणि शेतकऱ्यांच्या सेवेसाठी
हर देश में तू हर भेष में तू तेरे नाम अनेक तू एक ही है तेरे नाम अनेक तू एक ही है तेरी रंग भूमि यह विश्व भरा तेरी रंग भूमि यह विश्व भरा तेरे खेल में मेल में तू ही तू है हर खेल में मेल में तू ही तू है हर देश में तू हर देश में तू हर देश में तू हर देश में तू तेरे नाम अनेक तू एक ही है तेरे नाम अनेक तू एक ही है धन्यवाद
अनबरोबर काका कधीच काका दोन्ही काकांनी यायचं टीम सोबत सर्व वाशीची टीम रेखाताई वॉकिंग काका दोन्ही पण
Next morning the group left the hotel in Kolhapur en route to Pune for a visit at the Agakhan Palace, which is a national monument of India's freedom movement. The palace is of particular importance since it served as the location of imprisonment for Gandhi, his wife Kasturba, and his secretary Mahadev Bhai Desai following the launch of the 1942 Quit India movement. Both Kasturba and Mahadev Bhai passed away during their captivity here. As such, a memorial to both are found on the grounds. In the evening, the group was transported to the Pune railway station and boarded the overnight train Nadi Duronto to Ahmedabad. The coolie or train porter in his bright red shirt and copper armband has been ubiquitous at Indian railway stations ferrying luggage to and from trains.
Let's see if we have.
On Tuesday, day 6, upon arrival at the Ahmedabad station, we were transferred to the Fortune Landmark Hotel for breakfast. We then departed for Raj Ghat where we visited the Mahatma Gandhi Museum, also known as the Alfred High School where Gandhi completed his graduation in 1887, and the Kaba Gandhi No Delo which served as the Gandhi's primary family home in India until 1915. After these visits, we checked into Fortune JPS Grand Hotel for an overnight stay. On Wednesday day 7, once again, we left very early in the morning to visit the birthplace of Mahatma Gandhi at Kirti Mandir in Porbandar, and then returned to Raj Ghat for another night stay at the Fortune JPS Grand Hotel. Kirti Mandir is a small museum at the birthplace of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi in the city of Porbandar, Gujarat, India, memorializing him and his wife, Kasturba Gandhi.
The home in which she was born and brought up. So, once again, coming this time is more of a blessing for me because it's after I wrote the book. So this portion behind, up to where you see that grill, to that corner. This is all just a memorial thing later on. Not the Gandhi one. They didn't have a palace. It was just that much. That is the portion of the Gandhi event. It's the same layout. You see that little hole in the ground? That is where spices and grains would be pounded to dehusk them or make spice powders every day freshly. So there would be that's the festival, and there would be a mortar through which they would pound the grain and the spices. So most probably this would be the kitchen of the house. Yes. And see, these are some of the original wood beams on which this house was painted. Unfortunately, territorial disputes with neighboring princes and kings, and Karamchand Baba, through his adjudication and interventions resolved quite a few of those conflicts. And one of the conflicts that he resolved ensured
Our first stop today was to visit the Khamir, which was instituted after the earthquake of 2001, and focuses on strengthening and promoting the rich artisanal traditions of the Kutch district. The name Khamir is an acronym for Kutch Heritage, Art, Music, Information, and Resources. Additionally, Khamir means intrinsic pride in the local language of Kutchi, and to ferment in Hindi. This organization serves as a platform for the promotion of traditional handicrafts and allied cultural practices. The processes involved in their creation and the preservation of culture, community, and local environments.
Primary form of livelihood for them in their family units. And for them it's something that really works because as an organization, raw material for spinning the cotton, this process, is get delivered, the yarn gets collected, they get paid in their own homes. And you facilitate that entire interaction and they're able to work from their homes and have income in their own hands, in their own control, that they don't have to ask from anyone or get from anywhere else. It's not a huge sum of money also, but it's enough that they can, it's a sizable amount of money as an addition to the family income also, and as the disposable income for one person.
The second in the caste hierarchies that in this area they are known as darbars. Darbar means court. Those who were held court were darbars. Hence they, by tradition, enforce strict parda system for their women. So their women are not supposed to step out of the house and uncover themselves or fit their faces as far as possible. And so it was essential that whatever vocation they could do had to be done in their homes. So Khamir and this color cotton initiative, and they traditionally, because they had a lot of time, they would be spinning the charkha or pounding spices or things like that at home. So that traditional occupation has been continued now and then given a commercial twist by Khamir.
गेट रहता था, गेट के ऊपर एक लोग, एक आदमी चारों दिशा पे नजर रखता था, उसको उसी जमाने में उसको प्रमुख।
So the design he is going to make now is it's called Chaumukh in this from this area. Chaumukh means four faces, and there used to be a king in this region before independence, and his capital was guarded by a very big gate, and a guard would be standing on top of the gate 24/7, and he would keep a watch on all four directions to ensure that there was no danger or attack coming. And so that position was called Chaumukh because he faced all four directions. And main close observation, he's not creating just one of those movements, he's creating three simultaneously, and he has to pay attention to each one of them. And then imagine him making 50 meters of this.
માઇક હતી નીચે અને આ પ્રોડક્ટ છે ઓનલી મહિલાનો છે.
આ પ્લાસ્ટિકની થેલીઓમાંથી કરો છો તે છે ને, વેસ્ટની થેલીઓમાંથી. This is a plastic recycling project initiated by Khamir, and this is all made from waste plastic that they recycle, and they weave it again to make it into cloth like that, and then products like that. With this, I have a personal association because my daughter Kasturi worked with Khamir a few years back for about a year and a half, and her first assignment was to make a training film, a documentary on this plastic recycling project that Khamir had initiated. So this design that he is working on is called the Bela print technique, which is a unique way where they use rice and red mud curd. हाँ? वो ब्लॉक करने के लिए क्या करते हैं? So millet flour and starch and soil is used to block the parts which must not get the dye for the cloth. So then there will be a white patch left out like that one there, and then on top of it the red print will be printed, and then the cloth will be dyed in the color that is required. So this is how, these are the stages through which the product goes before it ends up with the indigo dyed final product.
We then took the tour bus to Hunnarshala, an organization that shares its knowledge and skills for building designs, settlement planning, social housing, disaster reconstruction, wastewater treatment systems, infrastructure development, and more. The impetus for its collaborations and associations grew after the 2001 earthquake that devastated the Kutch region. Late that evening we checked into the Fern Residency Bhuj for an overnight stay.
ત્યાંથી કામ લાવીને અહીંયા બનાવીને મોકલી આપો. એવો વિચાર કરવો, કારણ કે પારકા દેશમાં જઈને રહેવું એટલે માથાકૂટો બહુ જ હોય. આપણને they got after they said now you got to do it for us. ત્યાંથી કામ લાવીને અહીંયા બનાવીને મોકલી આપો. એવો વિચાર કરો. કારણ કે પારકા દેશમાં જઈને રહેવું એટલે માથાકૂટો બહુ જ હોય. આપણને
On Friday morning we left Bud for Mundra to visit Vikalp Sangam, salt workers who travel and live in simple conditions. The Vikalp Sangam is a school for these salt workers' children, where students from all over Gujarat stay and study. After the visit we returned to Ahmedabad, where we checked into the Fortune landmark Ahmedabad Hotel.
Thank you very much. Welcome to all.
His name is Dharmendra. And he is the person who has started this initiative of educating the children of fisher folks and salt pan workers in this region. He is associated, he's a fellow of an organization that is based out of Mumbai called the Yusuf Meher Ali Center. And so he runs their satellite center over here. We'll talk about that later on. Dharmendra will tell us about his work over here. This is the first time I am visiting this work, so I'm as unaware of what is happening as all of you. Dharmendra ji, aap bataiye.
बताता हूँ, आइए, please.
Caters to the children of migrant workers who come in search of occupation to this place, because Mundra is a very big port on the western shores of India. One of India's first private ports, run by a company called AVANI, who is India's biggest oligarch at present. So they have children from 18 states of India, including children from Nepal. They are all being taught in this school. Started the school, he did not have any establishment or place. So this is the tree under which the first classroom was started. After that they got the use of 2 tenements like this. So they started classes in those tenements. Then the number of students grew, so they had classes under 8 trees. 8 classes under 8 trees. Then this person who is a philanthropist of this area, kya naam bataya? Chandrakant Gogri. He came, Sangeeta invited him to come and see their work. And when he saw that work, he said, I'm going to provide you with a school building. So he bought this property, and he has told them that as long as they run the school, they can have the use of this property. So they have their school over here, and they also have their administrative office over here. So now they have a better place to work in. But during the lockdown, once again, आप वापस खुले में स्कूल चला रहे थे ना, पूरा लॉकडाउन. During the lockdown, he once again went out into the grounds and had open air schools.
क्योंकि वो लोग यहाँ नहीं सकते थे और स्कूल बंद था, ये बच्चे पढ़ाई भूल नहीं जाए, तो छोटे-छोटे पॉकेट में हम लोग जा के उनको पढ़ाते हैं और राशन भी देते हैं.
Because of the lockdown, they could not come to the school. So they were concerned that with such a long break, the children would forget what they had heard. So they went out into the locations of where the population was and started school rooms over there. And they also, during the lockdown, provided rations, food rations to the families so that they could sustain themselves. From their families. Their fathers are contract laborers, so whenever factories and other establishments in this city require laborers, they have labor contractors, so they would say, okay, we want 50 laborers or 100 laborers, and from the villages they would bring. Initially only the fathers would come and leave their families behind because there was no infrastructure to support their families. But when they came to know that now their children will have schools, so now the whole families come here and the children get admission. Now the problem, again the same problem as in AVANI. They did not have any documentation about birth certificates or education certificates or nothing of that sort. So Dharmendra and his wife, they get them their, equivalent of your social security card. They get them that. They get them as much according to their age. They classify them into the schools and put them in classes, and they get Hindi medium education because most of them come from the original Hindi states, Hindi speaking states. So they get educated in Hindi, and when they go back, when their father's contracts get over and they have to go back again, they provide them with transfer certificates so that when they go back, they have a documentation saying that they had studied in this grade or class in a school and get admission in equivalent classes back at home. So that is the kind of service all these first generation learners from their families are getting.
तो ये पुनीता मैडम है, ये बिहार की है। ये इसमें अलग अलग स्टेट के कितने स्टेट के, बिहार के कितने बच्चे हैं, ठीक है, यूपी के कितने, उत्तर प्रदेश के कितने हैं, नेपाल के कितने हैं, और अलग अलग स्टेट के बच्चे हैं।
So उत्तर भारत की ही ज्यादा।
हाँ, सर हिंदी भाषी भी है सर।
So most of the students in this class are from the state of Bihar. There are some from UP and some from Nepal also, but all of them are from the Hindi-speaking classes. The teacher is from Bihar also, so she teaches them in the language most of them understand.
और जब पेड़ के नीचे शुरू किए थे, उस समय से ये टीचर है।
She's been teaching from the time the school was run from under a tree.
आप लोग कुछ सर के बारे में बोलना है, सर को जानते हैं आप लोग? कौन है? कौन है? जोर से उनको देखो। नाम क्या है?
जानते हो? धर्मेंद्र जी ने बताया इसलिए जानते। तो यहाँ अच्छा लगता है? ना भी कह सकते हो, ऐसा नहीं है कि हाँ ही कहना चाहिए। क्या अच्छा लगता है? पढ़ाई पसंद आती है? अंग्रेजी पढ़ते हो? अच्छा, इसमें से कई जो है वो प्राध्यापक है और कई जो है वो स्टूडेंट है अभी भी। ये सारे अमेरिका और इंग्लैंड और फ्रांस से आए हुए हैं।
सर फोटो निकाल सकते हैं?
हाँ जरूर निकाल। आपका नाम बताओ?
ये नेपाल से है सर।
हाँ?
नेपाल से।
Yashoda is from Nepal and she says, I'm feeling very happy that people from foreign countries have come to my school and are communicating with me. So she says, thank you everyone.
ये हमारे स्कूल की सबसे होशियार बच्ची।
She is the cleverest girl in the school. Who fights for the truth?
Yes.
अच्छा, बच्चों के अधिकार के लिए लड़ रहा है। फिर और कोई कुछ बोलेगा? बोलो।
ये तो बहुत दूसरा कुछ।
She is fascinated because she is seeing foreigners for the first time. क्या लड़के कुछ बताएंगे कि नहीं कि लड़कियां ही बात करेंगी? कोई लड़का बोलेगा मेरे साथ?
लड़का लोग सब बुढ़वा कटे रहते। असलम में जो लोग रहते हैं उनके लिए बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे काम करते हैं और गांधी जी के तो बहुत बोलते हैं। ये सर ये 8वीं क्लास है, ये कुछ दिन बाद ये यहाँ से चले जाएंगे क्योंकि हमारा स्कूल 8वीं तक ही है।
8वीं तक।
9वीं 10वीं का हमको मान्यता नहीं मिल रहा है, कोशिश कर रहे हैं मिल जाए। तो ये कुछ में से कुछ बच्चे आदिपुर जाएंगे पढ़ने के लिए, कुछ यही रहेंगे, कुछ शायद पढ़ाई छोड़ देंगे क्योंकि माँ बाप जैसे गाँव जैसे ही ये गाँव जाएंगे, ये यहाँ पर इसलिए बचे हुए हैं। जैसे ये गाँव जाएंगे तो इनकी जनरली शादी और ये सब हो जाती है। लेकिन 8वीं तक हम लोग इस बार ट्राई कर रहे हैं कि हमको 8वीं 9वीं 10वीं 11वीं 12वीं इसका मान्यता मिल जाए ताकि ये बच्चों को हमको छोड़ना नहीं पड़े।
So these are students of the 8th grade. They have government has permitted them to have classes only till the 8th grade. So most of these students will have to go find other schools to do their senior school, that is 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. But what will happen is most of these students will drop out after the 8th because they have to go far and their parents can't afford to send them. So Dharmendra is trying to get approval from the state government to extend the school till the 12th grade. But at present, this will be their final year in school, and most of the girls will be taken back to their villages and will be married off. Their education will be over. So that is the tragedy of my childhood. In the Vikalp Vidyalaya school. This facility is going to propagate the ideals of Bapu. But I believe that more than this room, it is the school that propagates the values and ideals of Bapu, because that is where the real work is happening. And so I was very keen that we all come and see these kind of initiatives, because although he is backed by an institution, most of what he has achieved over here is because of his own dedication and his own determination to do something good and worthwhile for the people. Him, his wife, and the entire team that he has assembled over here are making, they become the agents of change that Bapu always talked about. So these are the small initiatives that bring hope for the people who otherwise have no hope in life. And that is, there can be nothing more Gandhian than this kind of work. Because I believe that when you talk about Bapu and his ideals, there is nothing insignificant. So what in gets cancelled, everything becomes significant. And so this is also a very significant step. It's not, you don't have to go to the moon to make a significant step for mankind. You do it on earth itself. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this is a typical towel made out of khadi. During the lockdown period, when laborers have lost their jobs, to provide them with some income, they ordered these towels, which are handmade by craftsmen in Bihar. And they were selling them, and the revenues were being given back to those organizations for the welfare of the people. The teachers would like to present each one of you with that towel, so you can have a souvenir from the school. It is in the Bihari language, it is known as gamcha. And laborers will generally have it over their shoulder as a multi-purpose napkin, and when it's too sunny, they tie it on their heads to protect their heads from the sun. So you get one of the Bihari gamchas each.
Thank you.
Indians only walk. They do not take transport, since transport can crush tiny insects on the way. They also sweep the ground in front of them, or make a gesture of sweeping the ground in front of them, so that they can remove those tiny lives, so that they are not crushed as they walk.
On Saturday, our first day back in Ahmedabad, we spent the day with the SEWA Self-Employed Women's Association. SEWA is a women's trade union which was registered in 1972 for the organization of poor, self-employed women workers. Since these women earn a living through their own labor or small businesses, they do not obtain regular salaried employment with welfare benefits like those workers in the organized labor sector. As such, these women are representative of the 93% of the unprotected labor force workers in India. Members of SEWA gave us a tour of the property and shared some of their stories with us.
They have a membership of 2 million women now in all the 7 districts, 14 districts of the state, 14 states of this country, and 7 countries of the world.
મેં આ માહિતી સેવાની આપી, પણ સેવાની બહુ જ હજી તો બધી જાણકારી છે, પણ હું અહીંયા થોડો વિરામ લઈશ અને મારી સાથે જે નીરુબેન છે, આપણે અહીંયા સ્થાનિક જે આવ્યા છીએ એ વનલક્ષ્મી મંડળી વિશેની માહિતી આપશે.
So Jignasa-ben is going to stop because she gave you the general idea about the parent organization SEWA. Now Niru-ben, who is part of the Vanalakshmi Ganeshpura group which does this project, will tell us about this project and how it started and what they are doing now. Niru-ben, aap chalu karo.
Namaste badane.
Namaste to all.
મારું નામ નીરુબેન છે, ગામ ગણેશપુરા, તાલુકો કડી, જિલ્લો મહેસાણા, અને હું 25 વર્ષથી સેવા સાથે જોડાયેલી છું. તમે જે ફાર્મમાં આવ્યા એ બહેનોની મંડળી છે, શ્રી વનલક્ષ્મી મહિલા સેવા વૃક્ષ ઉત્પાદન સહકારી મંડળી, અને એમાં હું મેનેજર તરીકે કામ કરું છું.
Niruben is from this local village of
Ganesh Pura. SEWA started coming to Ganesh Pura. The women of Ganesh Pura did not want to interact with them because they thought that these women from outside have come to steal from them. So they used to shun those people. But most of the women in Ganesh Pura were working as farm laborers in the fields of the big agriculturists in the surroundings. But they would be given work only for 10 to 15 days in the whole agricultural season because women were considered not good enough laborers.
બાકીના દિવસોમાં એ પોતે ઘરે બેસી રહેતા હતા તો પોતાનું ગુજરાન નહોતા ચલાવી શકતા સારી રીતે, બાળકોને ભણાવી નહોતા શકતા. તો એવા સમયે સેવામાંથી બહેનો આવતા હતા ગામમાં સંગઠન માટે. પણ ગામના બહેનો સંગઠનમાં જોડાવા તૈયાર નહોતા, પણ સેવાના બહેનોએ ફરી
and food security and work occupation. So SEWA women, the volunteers asked them, do you have some common land belonging to the village? And the women said, yes, there are some grazing lands that belong to the panchayat. Panchayat is the local government body of the village. But they said, if we go and ask for that land, the panchayat will never give it to us. So then SEWA said, okay, let's all together work for it.
પછી પંચાયત સાથે મીટિંગ કરી સેવાના બહેનો પંચાયતની આખી બોડી અને ગામના બહેનો સાથે મીટિંગ કરી પંચાયતને સમજાયું તો તમારા જ ગામના બહેનો છે એમને રોજગારી મળશે. ઘણા વર્ષથી પડી રહેલી ગામની
The panchayat, that the land that is lying waste will become productive. Why don't you give it to the women? And finally in 1987, Satyashi ke
87.
So in 1987, this 10-acre plot of land where we are sitting, the panchayat gave to the women on a 30-year lease. So that's how this project began, with a 30-year lease on a completely barren wasteland.
જમીન તો બહેનોએ 3 વર્ષ સુધી ખૂબ સંઘર્ષ અને મહેનત કરીને આ જમીનનું લેબલિંગ કર્યું. બહેનો જ્યારે જમીનનું લેબલિંગ કરતા હતા, જમીનમાંથી થડ કાઢતા હતા તો અંદરથી સાપ નીકળતા હતા, રીંછી નીકળતા હતા. પણ બહેનોનો ઉત્સાહ હતો. તો અમે ગામમાં મોટા ખેડૂતોને તે મજૂરીએ જઈએ તો અમને સિઝનમાં માંડ 10 કે 15 દિવસ મજૂરી મળે અને અહીંયા અમને કાયમી રોજગારી મળી. એવા ઉત્સાહથી બહેનોએ આ જમીન સરખી. 35 વર્ષ પહેલાં
The first thing that SEWA trained these women of Ganesh Pura was to start a nursery for plants, because the objective of this plot was to reforest it. It was a barren piece of land, but there was no irrigation over here, so no watering facilities. So they went to the Nandanpura village, Nandasad village in the neighborhood, where there was a forest. And the forest department had their establishment there. So they would go there every morning with their tiffins, and they started creating a nursery where they grew about 200,000 saplings. So SEWA taught them about how to fill soil and fertilizer in small plastic bags and then plant seeds of trees and nurture them to the sapling level. So they got a contract with the forest department to provide them with 200,000 saplings. But every day when they walked from Ganeshpura to Nandasad, they used to pass by many villages and hamlets, and men in villages and hamlets, they sit at the border of the village on the road, and they used to tease the women who used to go to work and warn them. They said, look, if you don't grow the contracted number of saplings for the forest department will come and seize your homes and take away your roofing tiles and doors and windows and everything, so be very careful. But the women said, as it is, we don't have anything, so we'll do this and prove you wrong. So they kept working at it. 200,000 saplings for
the forest department. It is a 6 months project. So the first installment is paid by the forest department so that they can buy the polythene bags. The soil and fertilizer, of course, is available from the forest department. So the first thing they would do is fill the bags with the fertilizer and soil mixture. Then, પછી બિયારણના પૈસા આપે?
બિયારણના પાણીની સુવિધા.
The next installment they would give is for the seeds and for the water supply. For transplanted those saplings over here, but the problem was there was no water to irrigate. So you know the village that we drove through, about 1.5 kilometers away, women used to carry water on their heads in pots and in cans and things, and come twice or thrice a day to water their plants over here, and that is how they nurtured and grew all these trees that we are enjoying the shade of 35 years ago.
બાજુમાં બોર છે ત્યાંથી બેનો કલાક ઉપર પાણી જતા હતા. ચોકડી બનાવી ખાડો ખોદીને પાણી અંદર નાખે. કામ પૂરું થાય, જમવા ઘરે જાય, પાછા આવે ત્યાં સુધી તો પાણી નીચે ઉતરી જાય. કેમ કાં તો રેતા અડધું જમીન એટલે પાણી નીચે ઉતરી જાય. તો સેવાએ વિચારી એમ કે પૂરી 10 એકર જમીનમાં આપણા વરસાદના પાણીનો સંગ્રહ થઈ ગયો. તો બહેનોને વડોદરા IPCL કંપની દ્વારા રેઇન વોટર હાર્વેસ્ટિંગની તાલીમ અપાઈ. તાલીમ લીધા પછી બહેનોએ પ્લાસ્ટિક પાથરીને તળાવ બનાવ્યું હતું. એ 10 ફૂટ
farm. They would pay per hour of pumping of water, and they used to have they dug some sinkholes on their plot, and they would pump out water and fill up that sinkhole. But when they went for broke for lunch, by the time they came back, the land was so porous that all the water would be absorbed by the land, and so much of the water that they were buying was going waste. So then SEWA decided that they would start a rainwater harvesting project over here. So the members of this group were sent to Baroda, which is a city close by, where the IPCL, Indian Petrochemicals Limited company, ran a course in rainwater harvesting of how to dig ponds and then line them with plastic so that the rainwater would not seep into the ground and be trapped on the surface. And so the women of SEWA, they dug a pond over here which was 10 feet? 10 feet deep, and its circumference was such that they started harvesting and storing almost 200,000 liters of rainwater on that, and that's how slowly their water requirement, their organization, they were made fun of, and the men would say, you know, you can't even write your own name, how are you going to run association? And there can't be an association for women and things like that. So the women told them that, look, if we can bring up children and take care of families and grow crops and grow trees and nurture them, why can't we do an association? And so finally they formed their cooperative association. Finally, after almost 2.5 years, Tariq kai gayi tha?
11 July 1991.
On 11 July 1991, they finally formed their cooperative society and it got registered.
તો સેવા દ્વારા ગુજરાતમાં 104 જેટલી બહેનો મંડળીઓ ચલાવવા અલગ અલગ એક્ટિવિટીની એનું અમારું ફેડરેશન છે ગુજરાત રાજ્ય મહિલા સેવા સહકારી સંઘ. એના દ્વારા બહેનોને તમામ પ્રકારની તાલીમ આપે. એમ કે મંડળી હોય એમાં મંત્રીની જવાબદારી હોય, પ્રમુખની, એની કારોબારીની, મંડળીનું સંચાલન કેવી રીતે કરવાનું, હિસાબો કેવી રીતે રાખવાના, ગવર્મેન્ટ ઓડિટર સાથેની ઓડિટ કેવી રીતે કરાવવાનું.
After they started growing crops over here, SEWA taught them about food processing. So they started making products out of their agricultural produce. So they have limes and lemons growing over here. So they made pickles and squashes, concentrates out of lime. And there is a berry called amla. So they make candied amla berry, which is dried and sugar coated, and it's a lovely mouth freshener and digestive to have. So various such products are made over here. They grow tomatoes, a lot of tomatoes over here, and vegetables now, and many fruits. So they make pickles and jams and all those kind of products.
એક પ્લોટ એમાં ખેડ ખાતર પાણી બિયારણ તમામ ખર્ચ મંડળીને જે ઉત્પાદન થાય એમાં બે ભાગ મંડળીના ને એક ભાગ બેનના.
So they have divided the plots in this 10-acre plot of land amongst the members, and every 3 years they draw lots, and whichever woman picks up a chit, and whichever plot is in that chit, that she starts managing that plot. The seed, fertilizer, water, and everything that is required is given by SEWA, and the member gets kitla bhat.
બે ભાગ મંડળીના ને એક ભાગ બેનના.
So 2 parts of the produce goes to the association of women, and 1 part of the produce goes to the individual. That is how it is divided. But from those 2 parts of the association, also all members get a share. So there is increment in that way also. The association was formed. There were hardly 3 members who had studied for or had gone to school for 3 years, 3 grades. But all the members of this association have ensured that their children study as much as they want. And there are women in this association, the women of this association never moved out of their homes. They wouldn't even think of going to Ahmedabad, which is hardly about 50 kilometers away from here. But they have members who have visited New York, Italy, Sri Lanka, the Far East, and have gone all over, even alone, and gone and talked at women's conventions and big international meetings.
અમારા સ્વાશ્રમ મહિલા સેવા ખેત મજૂર એસોસિએશનમાં 65,000 બહેનોનું સંગઠન છે. તેમાં ખેતી કામદાર, પશુપાલન અને ખેત મજૂરી, છૂટક મજૂરીના સભ્ય સંગઠન.
And it includes farm laborers, casual laborers, and trijo kon, and animal herders and dairy operators. 300 villages in this district.
છે તો સેવાના સભ્યો અમારે પહેલે 200 સભ્યો એક પ્રતિનિધિ હતા, અત્યારે અમારે 500 સભ્યો એક પ્રતિનિધિ છે, એમ અમારા 45 પ્રતિનિધિ બહેનો છે.
So they have 45 representatives of their associations in this district who represent 500 members each, and they have a midwives association, and they have a laborers association also, and 9 members of the midwives association, and pelana kela 45 of the laborers union, and each
65,000 નું જે સંગઠન
65,000 members in there.
એના પ્રતિનિધિ 45.
So for
all over
those,
Jilla.
yeah, from 45 representatives of the in the district of the 65,000 members of the association.
દાખલા તરીકે ગણેશ.
So they have been working, as you asked, they have been working on the environment issue also, and they assembled solar lights and solar fans as a part of their activity of manufacturing. But they basically work with farming, with food production, with healthcare, with savings groups, and now a major thrust in dealing with climate change and its effect on rural communities. So they realized that the villages in the interiors did not have electricity, and so they used to have a lot of problems in commuting, taking their children to school and bringing them back, and irrigation and everything. So they had to carry gasoline lights with them in the evening, and that used to add to the expenses of the family. So they decided that they would invest in solar electricity production in units that were self-contained. So they did assembly of solar lighting and solar fans and solar pumps. Not for chatting, but for work, because they used to interact with the headquarters for finding out about the agricultural prices and prices of fertilizer and seeds and things. So they also provided phone charging units along with the lights and fans, so that the women could charge up their communication devices easy. The older generation was willing to do physical labor much easily, but the younger generation, the new generation, who has been equipped with education and things, is very reluctant to follow in the footsteps of their mothers and elders and do the same kind of hard labor. So, but since the objective of associations like this one, Ganeshpura, is agriculture and things, so their challenge is how to encourage the new generation to continue this work, because they consider it as a backward kind of work, not glamorous enough for them, and so that for them is a very big challenge. How to continue this effort further is a very big challenge. They're trying to find solutions for it. The present generation and the future, the younger lot in the thing, and holds seminars and workshops in the villages where all these three are addressed and are given training in farm economics, farm science and modern farming techniques, and are taught about the benefit of farming over industrial jobs or office work, and that way also they try to motivate the future generations to continue with the farming.
કર્યા હતા ત્યારે એમને અફસોસ થયો કે જ્યારે આપણે પોતાના ધંધાને પોતાની ખેતી આપણે પશુપાલન સાથે સંકળાયેલા હોત તો આપણો આ દિવસ ના આવત, એટલે એ રોજગારી ઉપર જે અસર પડી ને એ આખો એક આમ ચેલેન્જીસ ને એક દાખલો આમ ઝળહળતો છે, એમાંથી ઘણા બધા સભ્યોમાં પરિવર્તન પણ આવ્યું. Store
that they have which sells all these produce. RUDI, Rudy.
રૂડી વિશે થોડુંક કહેશે.
રૂડી ની વાત કરો પ્રવીણ.
આજે ટામેટાનું કીધું ને એવી રીતે આપણે રૂડી અંતર્ગત કમલાના જે નાસ્તા બનાવવાનું છે તો એ બહેનોને આપણે નવી જનરેશનને આવી ટ્રેનિંગ આપી છે, અને અત્યારે એ બહેનો આ જે આમળામાંથી કેન્ડી, શરબત, લીંબુ અચાર છે, પછી
created an app called Mera Bills, which is an accounting app for the rural women, and it keeps accounts of day-to-day expenses and income, and at the end of the month or whenever they wish, they can automatically generate a analysis report of their finances of their business. And these kind of modernization that SEWA is bringing in, it also makes the activity more acceptable for the younger generation, and it also helps them because SEWA helps them get the young small traders and small manufacturers to get loans and financial assistance and marketing assistance and all that. So they are using a lot of technology to make it attractive for the younger generation also. The criteria is that she should be from the laborer community, she should be employable, she should be from the poorer segment of society, and she should be willing to be self-employed. Those are the criteria by which they accept members. According to tradition, children, once their zodiac signs are ascertained by drawing this chart, they will be given the zodiac sign and the letters associated with that sign, and most of them would have names starting from those letters. I don't, because my parents didn't know what zodiac sign I was born under. So they just named me the favorite name that they had decided. But many of them have, according to the zodiac sign, so they have made association with the trees, and these are the trees associated with the various sun signs and things. So you can find your birth tree over here, and they say that if you go and sit under that tree and confess to all your crimes, you will be absolved.
On Sunday we visited the Sabarmati Ashram, an ashram founded in 1917 and served as one of the main centers of the Indian freedom struggle. Named after the holy river Sabarmati upon which it is situated, this site no longer functions as a working ashram, but rather as a museum and an institution whose aim is to preserve and propagate the legacy of the Mahatma. In the evening we were transferred to the Jaipur airport where we flew to Jaipur. On arrival in Jaipur, we were transferred to the Ramada Hotel Jaipur and had a late supper. On Monday, our first day in Jaipur, we visited Jaipur Rugs, a family business with 4 decades of craftsmanship that revolutionized the carpet industry by working directly with artisans to empower them and their communities in realizing sustainable livelihoods. Its founder N.K. Chaudhary is called the Gandhi of the carpet industry and has treated all his artisans, considered untouchables, with respect. He has been quoted as saying, "Let goodness, fairness and most importantly, love prevail in business. Profits will inevitably follow." Later that day we went to Jaipur Foot Bhagwan Mahavir Viklang Sahayuta Samiti organization. Jaipur Foot is the world's largest organization dedicated to rehabilitating individuals with disabilities, over 1.55 million. Services include the fitting and provision of free artificial limbs and other aids to amputees and polio patients. The services are not only provided to individuals across India, but also extended to those in 27 countries around the world.
This is not cautions from getting souls, but they have to be careful. No. See, no hands and no one hand. This is the electronic hand.
Ow. Strong.
दबा दो Anybody else wants to help somebody with that? One of the nurses?
After breakfast on Tuesday, the group departed for Delhi. The distance between Jaipur to Delhi is 272.9 kilometers and can take between 4.5 hours to over 6 hours depending on traffic. We made a stop on our way to Delhi at a village with Jaipur Rugs looms. We toured the village and had lunch with the villagers.
This is Manpura Macheli. This is one of the villages of Jaipur Rugs, which is the pioneering villages. That's why it's closer to the city. And here we have more than 150 artisans, women artisans. And this entire village is led by our queen, Shanti Devi. She is the person who is a Bunkar Sakhi. So in Jaipur Rugs, we have Bunkar Sakhis. Bunkar means the weaver, correct? And Sakhi means the friend. Sakhi is your friend. So the job profile is Bunkar Sakhi, in which she becomes a friend of all the community's lady who she will be helping in their day-to-day work and also the personal life, because a friend doesn't remain a work friend, right? They become your friend sometimes. So we'll be meeting her later in the day. And today, now I'll explain you first how the loom is made and what things happen to the loom, the technical part of it. And you can ask any questions anytime, you can interrupt. So this is how a loom looks like. This entire...
Guys, gather closer.
All right. So hello everyone.
Became a trainer, now she is the leader of this center organization. That's the story of the soldier. आपका नाम बताइए?
We made it to Delhi in time for dinner, so we immediately checked into the Pride Hotel, New Delhi, Aerocity. No trip to India would be complete without a ride on a tuk-tuk. We rode one to the chemist, and then back to the hotel. The total cost was under $2.
So, you know, it's an example. I'm so glad we did that.
Yes.
We started day 14 with a visit to the Gandhi Smriti, part of the old Birla House. This is a sacred place as it is where Mahatma Gandhi's epic life ended on January 30, 1948. His last 144 days of his life were spent here, and thereby contain many treasured memories, including the room where Mahatma Gandhi lived as well as the prayer ground where he held a mass congregation every evening. It was the prayer grounds where Gandhiji was felled by an assassin's bullet. Next, the group visited the Raj Ghat where Mahatma Gandhi was cremated and houses the memorial to the father of the nation. While here we participated in the Flame of Hope ceremony. The Flame of Hope was lit with prayers at the Pope's Mass in Japan. Then it was blessed by the Dalai Lama. The next part of the journey was to the eternal flame of Mahatma Gandhi at Raj Ghat. The eternal flame represents Gandhi's teachings of non-violence, tolerance, and ethical values, which on this day was used to rekindle the flame of hope.
come together here because the Gandhi Legacy Tour has been touring to India now for 10 days, bringing back to their countries all the wisdom and all the teachings of blessed Mahatma Gandhi. We have the opportunity to be here and we are grateful because of the Gandhi Smriti Museum who gave us the permission to unify the holy flame, the eternal flame burning at Raj Ghat Gandhi Samadhi with the flame of hope. The flame of hope is unifying and carrying the spirit of the most sacred and spiritual and historic flames of the whole world. We are carrying the flame of the atomic bomb of Hiroshima with all souls who vanished in this human disaster, in this human-made disaster. We are carrying the prayers of the birthplace of Jesus, of the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem, and we are carrying the spirit of justice and non-violence of Martin Luther King. And today we are honored to receive the spirit and the teachings of blessed Mahatma Gandhi. We will start the praying ceremony with the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "I am praying for the light who dispels the darkness. Let those who have the faith, the living faith of non-violence, join me in the prayer." Please, Venerable Mufi.
group wants to touch the candle?
Yes, please come. Please come.
Touch the candle, touch me.
Our last visit for the day was to the National Gandhi Museum, which contains a rich collection of original relics, books, journals, exhibition, memorabilia and more. It is also developing into a resource center for both Gandhian and allied studies and research. Some of us opted to spend their last day in India at Agra with a visit to the Taj Mahal. Built by the great Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in honor of his beloved wife Mumtaz Mahal, the Taj Mahal is one of the great wonders of the world. Thank you for joining us on this magical journey. Together we explored several cities and villages to see firsthand how people have used Gandhi's philosophy in everyday life. It is no longer a secret that official India had abandoned Gandhi's philosophy upon gaining independence. However, there are many at the grassroots level, young and old, who are still inspired by his philosophy and have put it into action to bring about a qualitative change in the Indian society.